semester of fifth semester, the discipline specific course. In that, we will be discussing today the block 4, 8th and 9th topics, that are office reports and forms management. So, first we will discuss what is office reports. Now, in this office report, what do we mean by a report? Report, it is defined as a statement prepared to present facts relating to planning, organizing, and coordinating. We can say that it is a report is considered to be a statement prepared to present facts relating to planning, coordination, program, and the general state of administration. Now, in simple terms, what can we say? What does we mean by a report? Report is basically the summary or conclusion of whatever communication has been done. So, or whatever communication or whatever the work has been taken up. So in this regard, we can say that this report is a most important tool and a technique which is used by the organizations, to get a clear picture of what has been done and what has to be done. So what has been done and what has to be done. In both the aspects, reports play a very important role, we can say. So now once again, I'll repeat, what is a report? A report is a statement prepared to present facts relating to planning, coordination, performance, and the general state of administration. So now, report is basically the summary or conclusion of what has been carried out, or what can we say, that the work what has been carried out, and with the report we can suggest the remedies for what has to be done. So this is called as a report. Now, what is the importance of this report? Report has, we can say that a report has much importance. Report is widely recognized as an important administrative function. It can be considered as an important administrative function. So, reporting is widely recognized as an important administrative function, we can say. Now, if you remember in your first year, you might have come across Luther Gulick's principles, and in the Luther Gulick's principles in the classical approach, where you might have discussed about the Luther Gulick's administrative principles, where the acronym POSCOP, we discussed in the first year. You might have come across this theory, where he came out with these people came out with an acronym called POSCOP. What does this POSCOP mean? P for planning, O for planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, budgeting, and reporting and budgeting. So they say that these are the important principles of the administration. So in this, the most important one we can say is reporting. So the reporting is a major and very important tool which is used by the administration, which is used by the administrators, or in the government, or also in the organizations, to get a clear picture of what has to be done or what has been done, and what were the decisions when they go for decision making also. This will help them in a wider range. Now, coming to the purposes and functions of this report. Now, what are the important purposes and functions of this report? We will take a few of the important functions and purposes. The first and foremost, we can say it helps to measure and improve the performance of the employee. The first one is it helps to measure, measure and improve the performance of the employees. Now, what does this mean? It explains us that it helps, the report helps the organization to measure the performance of the employee. How? By writing the schedule, means how the, if you take an example of an employee, at what time he is entering into the organization, at what time he is leaving the organization, and how many hours he is working, how many hours he is not taking a break. Through this, they will get to know the clear picture. So it will help them, the organization, through this report, they will get to know the performance of each individual or an employee. So this is a very, very important purpose of report writing, or getting a report of an person or an employee. And with this, the first one we discussed is about the measure. That is, it helps to measure the working style, the performance of the employee, and it also helps in improving the performance of the employee. How it will help in the performance of the employee? That is, it helps in giving them a clear picture that what are the drawbacks of that employee, how, because where the organization can come across how this employee is working, and what are the changes have to be made to improve the capabilities or the skill of the employee. So it will help them to get an understanding about the work or the work nature of the employee. So the first and the important function, we can say, the purpose and the function is, through the report, it helps to measure and improve the performance of the employees. Next is, second is, it helps to communicate information upward and downward. Now, through a report, through writing a report or to maintaining a report, as I told you, report is about a communication, what has been done, the communication, what has been done, and in all the aspects. Now, upward means from the top to bottom in the hierarchy. That is, the management to the worker, who all are placed in the hierarchy. They are called as an upward movement of communication, where from the top, the information will be shared to the bottom level of the hierarchy on the employees who are placed at the ground level. So that is an upward movement of communicating information. Then downward is the opposite one, and that is from downwards. If an employee is facing a problem, or if the report of the employee is taken up, then the organization will know about the work of that person. So communicating information from top to bottom and down to up, that is from bottom to the topmost. So this will help the organization to work efficiently and bring about effectiveness in the working of the employees. So this is a second important function, we can say. Then the third one is, the report helps to provide data and analysis of the data. That is, it helps to provide data and also helps in analyzing of the data. That is, first one is the provision of the data. Now, for example, how many employees are working? The management might not have a clear picture of how many employees are working per day, or how many employees are working per hour, how many have left the organization, how many vacancies are there. So through this report, they will get to know, they will have a clear picture of how many people are needed, how many of them are working, how many are not working, how many are taking more working hours, how many of them are taking breaks in their work. All this they will be getting through this provision of the data, and the analysis of the data also. Analysis, as I told you, the analysis of the data where it explains them to get the management a clear picture of the work, the performance of each and every employee. It helps them to get a clear picture of the employees also. Then the fourth one, we can say it helps in analyzing the impact, and also the impact for, it helps in analyzing the impact of change. That is, it helps in analyze when the analysis of the data takes place, it gives a clear picture, or it creates an atmosphere for a greater impact, or it will that there is a need to change, there is a need for the organization to get more and more employees, or to get information for the organization to get a clear picture on the work of the employees. Then if we also take up the important analysis of the data, where the analysis of the data helps them in a planning process and the decision making, also. That is, who has to be taken importance, who has to be given importance, who has to be given promotion, who has to be shown the door. All these can be taken into considerations. So another important measure, or we can say the function of this, is administrative control. The administrative control, that is, through the report, through the provision of the report and through the analyzing of the report, the management can have a clear picture and have a direct control on the administration, because then the organization will also know who is working where, and who has to be assigned duties, who has to be given important work, confidential work, who is working how. All this information can be taken into regard. And with this, what happens? The management will have a direct control on the administration, and they will have a clear picture of what in the decision-making process. That is, who has to be given what, that is the importance. Then the next one is securing coordination to avoid overlapping. Securing coordination through a report, the organization will know that who is working where and who is working under whom. With that, they will have a clear picture. That is a flow. It might be a flow chart, it might be a web diagram, or through a tabular column, or the report. In the report, what all the data is being provided. With that, the management will have a clear picture of who is working where, what are the responsibilities being given to them, what are the duties they are performing. When they are being given all these aspects, then there will be no scope for overlapping. Overlapping, what does we mean by overlapping? Overlapping is bringing one above the other. That is, if a person is if there is no information about an ex-person, for example, then the management will think that the ex-person is not working anywhere, so he can be put in any of the other departments. But actually, if they come to know that he is actually working in one of the departments, and so he has to do multiple tasks. He has to do multiple tasks, which is not a good administrative function, we can say. So in this regard, the report will help the organization to get a clear picture on the employees, and also it will give a clear picture to the organization also to place or to place the employees in all the aspects, that is assigning them the duties and responsibilities. So this is another important function we can say. Then the next one, the last one we can discuss is comparison of performance to facilitate good and effective performance and administration. As I told you, with the report, the management can compare the performances. Because if, for example, in a department A, in that department might be 10 people are working. So if at the end of the day, if the organization gets a report of that 10 people, then the organization will get to know about the performance of each and one person. That is, who has worked how much, how many man hours have been given by each and every person. With this, what happens? The organization will come to know the efficiency of each and every person and how much effectively they have worked in bringing out the results, which will help the organization to have a control on them, and also it will help them to take better decisions for tomorrow, which will because as we all know that it might be a private organization or a public organization or whatever it might be, performance is very, very important. So these are the important purposes and functions of the report. Once again, I am repeating the important points. The first one is it helps to measure and improve the performance of the employees. Second is it helps in communicating information, that is upward and downward. And the third one is it helps in providing data and analysis of the data, which will help in planning and decision making when decisions have to be taken. Then it also helps in analyzing the impact of the change. That is, if the change has to be occurred, then what has to be taken into considerations. Then the next one is administration control. The whole control of the administration of the organization has to be, when they have a clear picture of who is doing what are the duties and responsibilities which are being carried out, then they will have a clear picture of the administrative control. Then the next one is securing coordination to avoid overlapping. Then the last one is comparison of performance to facilitate good and effective performance and administration. Now, the next subtopic in this is the classification of reports. Till now, we discussed about what are the purposes and what are the functions of a report. Now, office reports. Now, we will be discussing about the types of reports. In all the matters, the report might be not same, because in each and every way, in a scenario, the report will be different. Office reports will be different. So in this regard, what is the first one? That is the direction. Direction is one of the classification of the report. What does it mean? Direction is upward, downward, and sidewards. As I told you, upward, that is from the top to bottom. Downward, and then the down from the below to the up, that is the information sharing. Then sidewards, that is between the colleagues. The upward is from the management to the class 4 employees might be. Then the downward is from the class 4 employees or from the workers to the management. The communication or information sharing, we can say. Then the next one can be the sidewards, that is the information sharing of information between colleagues or co-workers. That is a sidewards report sharing. Then the second one is legality. The second report can be classified, that second classification of the reports is the legality. Now, what does that mean? Legality is based by the name only. We can know that is legally. That is the official reports which have to be by law, which have to be the reports which are submitted to the parliament, to the assembly, or to the president. So these have to be following rules and regulations, and they have to work, and they have to be prepared in the purview of the law only, or we can say in the jurisdiction of the law only. So legality is another important type of report. Then the third one is functions of the organization. The functions of the organization can be the accounts, stores, all this can be discussed, or these can be discussed. That is, we can say the accounts. Now, all organizations we come across, they have the accounts, where they keep a report of how much revenue they got, how much expenditure they are going for, how much their salaries have been paid, and how many have the employees have taken leave, how many cuts of the in the salaries of the workers have to be done, how much deductions have to be done for the workers. All these financial matters which are related to the functioning of the organization, that is comes under the report, and that is a classification we discuss under the functions. That is, the third one is functions. So in this functions, we will discuss one or two. That is, the first one is the accounts. Accounts, as I told you, this might be regarding the revenue which has been getting into the organization, and the expenditure which has to be out of the organization. Then the stores. The second one we can take is the stores, the inventory, the how much material has been getting into the store, what has to be stored, how much material has gone out of the store, how many people came into the store, how much dispatches have been taken. All this has to be recorded, and a report has to be made. That is day-to-day activity, which will help the organization to get a clear picture. Then the fourth one is periodicity. Periodicity means the reports might be on daily basis, weekly basis, quarterly, half-yearly, and annually. If you take up the government reports, they come as an annual reports, where in one financial year, what all the revenue the government departments have got and how they have spent that money, the revenue and income, and the expenditure, what all has been taking place. This all has to be explained and submitted to the government. That is called as an annual report. Now, some organizations might have a daily report, where we see this in the workers in the daily in factories, where daily the workers, how many of them are working, how many man hours they have completed, what all, everything is being recorded on daily basis. So there might be the periodicity might be on weekly, daily, quarterly, half yearly, and annually also. Then the next one is the style and structure. Style and structure, this is also an important classification, we can say. Now, what does it help? What does it explain? It explains us that there are formal and informal. Now, formal, what is a formal structure? What is a formal style and structure? That is, if you take an factory or an industry or an organization, where the person, when he enters into the organization, he has to give his thumb impression, that is called as a biometrics, and he has to give do a signature in the register. That is this is a formal way of maintaining a record. That is how when the employee is entering into the organization and when the employee is going out of the organization. And we can say that how many man hours he is giving to the organization, whether it is half an hour or whether it is 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, or whether he is giving more than 8 hours, that is calculated as an overtime. So when the worker completes 8 hours or whatever the work is being assigned to him, and above that, whenever he is working, that hours are calculated as overtime. And for that, the organization will be paying them extra salary or extra incentive or extra money. So this can be of a formal one. And informal way of reporting, that is having a word, communication, a text message. This is an informal way of reporting. Taking a leave, texting, giving a message and sending to the authority or to the head of the institution or to the supervisor, just informing them on a phone call, or texting them or sending an email or a letter. All these are called as an informal ways of reporting. And there, the reporting for taking permission when you are in the organization where this cannot be recorded. So this is an informal way of maintaining the style and structure of the report. Then the next one is regularity. Now, with the name only, we can understand regularity. Regularity means routine or special. That is, now what is routine? Daily, for as we are taking an example of an industry or a factory where we come across people on daily basis, that is a routine for them. Means if the shift is from 7 o'clock to evening 3 o'clock, daily they come at 7 o'clock and leave by 3 o'clock. That is a routine, and based on that routine only, that person's performance is calculated. Did he work in those hours, and how many breaks did he take, or did he take any leaves in that period of time? So with that, this is a routine. Then the next one can be the special. Special is taking a leave, or on special occasions working for more hours if anything important is there in the organization, taking more time and giving their more efficiency to the organization because the organization might need that employee. So these are all the important classifications of the report, where the report can be written based on these bases also. Then the last one is confidentiality. Confidentiality is the reports which cannot be shown to a common man, or which cannot be shown to the public, or which have to be, there should be a secrecy which has to be maintained, and the report has to be written in a confidential manner. And we see the judgments, or in the government, the external affairs or agreements of the confidential agreements between the countries. All these are the confidential reports which have to be maintained in a confidential manner by the organizations or the government. So these are the important classification of reports. Once again, I am repeating the classification of report. They are direction, first one. Second is legality. Third is functions. Fourth, periodicity. Fifth is style and structure. Then regularity. And the last one is confidentiality. So these are the important classifications of reports. So next we will be discussing about the major features of an effective report. What are the major features which have to be taken into consideration for having a good observation or what have good reports? What might be the major features which where a good report has to be written, or where what are the features where a good report has to have? In that, the first foremost one we can say is accuracy. Accuracy is about based on the factual data, that is what is being seen, what has been recorded. They cannot depend on the wrong analysis, wrong decision making. They have to have the information very accurate one. Then only they can prepare a data. As I told you in the classification, confidentiality. When a confidential report is being prepared, the employees have to take care, or the professionalism we call it as, where they have to take care of all the parameters of, and they have to check thoroughly 100 times that whatever the information they have received is right enough, factual enough, and there is no duplication, there is no, or where they should not depend on the wrong analysis and wrong people for collection of the data, which will lead to devastations, we can say, or the sharing of wrong information and the wrong data might lead to a huge loss to the organizations and also to the governments. Or we can, if you take the governments into consideration, it might lead to more, we can say, more of negativity into the organization. Then the second important feature is presentable appearance. Presentable appearance. Now, for example, if you take yourself as an example, where when you are writing the exam, if you are not writing your answer properly in an explanatory manner, that is explaining the examiner through a flow chart or through a web diagram or a subheading, then if you are just writing it pages to pages in a continuous lines, then the examiner will not have a clear picture what you have written, because you have not underlined anything, you did not give a subheading, you did not draw a web diagram, you did not show any features, that is importance of the work. That is, if you highlight with a color pen, or if you draw a flow chart where you are explaining to the examiner that this is the presentable one, where through this appearance only, he will get to know that, okay, through this flow chart, the candidate is trying to explain the answer to me. With that, he will get to know what is in the descriptive format of the answer. Likewise, in the organizations also, the presentable appearance, it implies that the report should be an attractive, it should have an attractive get-up in terms of appropriate quality of papers and also neat binding of papers. Because now if you scribble, or if you tear the pages, or if you don't write in a clear manner, then the examiner also will feel that the answer, if you write the right answer also, they will feel that this answer might not be good enough in reading, which will create some problems, or you might get less marks in that. Likewise, in the organizations also, they have to have a clear picture of understanding that when they are submitting a report to the organization, there should be an accuracy in the data, and also it should be a presentable one. Means the writing should be good, the paper, whatever they are using should be good, which will, many times we come across the paper will be bloated one, where if you write on the other side, the ink will be, we can see the ink on the other side. And if you write it on that side, it will be, all the words will be mingled up, and you may not be able to read it properly also. So this is a very demotivating factor which will create problems for the organization. Then the next one is simplicity. Simplicity is directly whatever you are writing or whatever information has to be shared in the report has to be written in a direct format, that is in a tabular column or in an explanatory manner. However it is, it has to be explained in a direct style, that is in a factual data, where it will be easy for them to analyze the data, and which will also help in taking up in a decision making or in the decision making process also. Then the brevity, the next one is brevity is the report should be a brief one and a concise one. That is, it should not have a lengthy subject where nobody will feel to read a lengthy one. If it is short and brief, and it in that brief only, if you are more explanatory what you want to say in a direct manner, then it will be helpful for the organization as well as the employees, because the information sharing will be accurate, precise, and the decision making might also come in a very good format. That is also very, very important. Then authenticity. Authenticity means is a very important element of good report in the public organizations. Authenticity is how much verified document it is. If now if you see, if you go to a department, they ask you that if you go for a signature, you will ask for a stamp. That is, if a person does a signature, many of us will say that please put a stamp on this signature, which will make the paper valued, means authenticated, that this is a clear one, this is an authenticated paper, which will give more scope for better understanding, and it will communicate in a better manner. Then the next one we can say is the proper relevance. Relevance is the organization, or in the report writing, they should have a clear one, that is relevance, that is how much importance the matter has, that is based on the subject. If the subject relevance has to be, take as for example our class. Now our subject, we are dealing with the office administration, but if I suddenly talk about trees, plants, animals, it might not feel, you might be confused. Now, why ma'am is talking about which is irrelevant to the present study. So this is an relevance where we have to talk about the subject only, and how much it is related to the subject, straight away to the subject. So these are the important, we can say, features when we go for a report, and which have to be included in when you are writing a report. Then we have, and the next one is report preparation process. In the report preparation process, we have some of the important steps. In that, the first one foremost is the collection of data. The collection of the data is the first step. Now, the collection of the data might be facts, might be figures, might be it might be from a documentary, or from through communication, or from a report, whatever it is, all the information. Now, for example, when you are preparing for your exam, you will collect information, collection of the data. where how will you collect which topic is easy to you? You will try to select from that book, which will help you to get a clear picture of understanding for your purposes. So that is collection of the data. Then analysis of the data. Analysis. Now you got all the information from various sources. That might be documentaries or reports, personal understanding, personal sources, or facts and figures, whatever it might be. But so in this regard, now when you have all the information with you, you cannot or you may not be able to put all the information whatever you have. You have to analyze it, means you have to go through it. You have to get a clear picture what has to be put, what has to be deleted, and where it has to be put, and means you have to divide according to the information and the relevance of the information. Then the third important step is discussion, where when you start analyzing, then you talk to your colleagues or your friends or whoever, the authorities or the subordinates or the superordinates, where through the discussions, you will, what is a discussion? A interaction between one or more persons. That is a discussion to get an end result. That is, so in the discussions, the people will get to know, or it might be the employees or the authorities or whoever it might be. They will be getting a clear picture through the thorough discussions that what all the opinions, and through this they will get a clear picture on the opinions and the conclusions. Then they can put good, we can say, with this through these discussions, it will give a clear understanding what has to be put, when it has to be put, and how it has to be put in the report. Then the next one is drafting. Drafting is the last step in the report preparation of the process. That is the format. That if you are writing a report, first you have to tell what you are explaining to. That is a introduction. Then you have to explain what you are trying to focus on, the importance of the study, the need of the study. Then you have to explain about the core. What are you explaining? What are the problems or issues? What all you are being faced? Then the end, the conclusions, that is the suggestions, opinions, or all these can be discussed. So drafting helps the organization to get a clear picture of for a decision-making process. And it also helps him to go for a change, or whether they have to go for a change or they have to get a clear understanding. Then the next one is presentation. Now, presentation is, once the report writing is finalized, it has to be typed and printed depending on the number of copies, how many they are needed, and it can be, then it has to be presented. That is, it has to be sent to everybody to read the report. That is the presentation. So these are the important, we can say, the processes which will help the organization to get a clear understanding or to get a clear picture on what has to be done, where, and how all these have to be taken into consideration. So report, as I told you, report is a very, very important tool, and as well as we can consider it as a technique in the administrative processes, and we can say that it is an important administrative functions. It also helps in the administrative functions, as explained by Luther Gulick in his acronym POSCOB. So we can say that this report can be of, as I told you when we discussed about the classification of the reports, as I told you, reports can help there are many advantages and disadvantages of this reports, we can say. Now, what might be the advantages of this report? We can discuss a few of the advantages. That is, the first and foremost is through the preparation of the report, the organization will get to know the exact information about the organization and the employees working in the organization. So through this, because if the organization is taking a weekly report, a quarterly report, and a half-yearly report and an annual report, then when they start comparing all these reports, then they will get a clear picture of the working of the employees and the, we can say, the functioning of the organization. That is, who is working, we can say the effectiveness and the efficiency of the workers also. So this can be a very good advantage of report writing, office report. Then a second important one we can say is through this report, it will help the organization to analyze the changes which have to be done. As we all know that in the present scenario, every day there is a new task. There are new venues coming up. So the organizations or the governments also, they cannot sit back and say that for next 5 years, we need not work. No, it is not like that. Presently, every day is a new challenge, new tasks, new things are coming up. So for example, if a person is there in the market, who is in business, so he has to have a clear picture about what is happening in the market, what is a price rise, how the prices are rising, if there is a shortfall or if there is a downfall of the prices. If there is a price rise and if he does not rise the products, rising his product, that is the name, we can say the maximum retail price of the product, or the then what will happen? He will be facing losses. So it is very important to have a clear picture of the report. What is that? To have a change, that is what has to be done and how the market trends are taking place. Then the third one is this is when we can say this is an important point, where through this report, the workers also will work with sincerity, loyalty, and also will be in pressure, because because the organization, through this constant monitoring, the employees also will have an impression that if I don't work, the management will come to know. The management might know about the lapses which I am taking, with the lapses which are being taken up in the working. So with that, he might be fired. So this all have to be taken into considerations. So report writing helps the organizations to get a clear picture, and it also helps in clear understanding of the working of the organizations. So we can say that it will help the organizations in this regard. Then another important advantage is through this reports, the organizations can rate their performances. That is, last 5 years, what was their performance? In these 5 years, how their performance has increased, and in the next 5 years, how they have to improve their performances. That is, the measure of performances can be calculated by keeping all the reports of all the years. They can analyze the data, and with the data, they can get a clear picture on what has to be done or to improve their profits or to improve their skills of the employees. So this will help them in getting better employees also, and they will also get to know who is not worthwhile for the organization and whom to be shown the door. Or we can say promotions and demotions, or the giving recognition, awards, all these also will help the organization through this reports only. So this will give a clear picture of understanding to the to the employees as well as the organizations. Now, when we talk about the disadvantages of this report, now, can we say that there might be any disadvantages through this report? Yeah, there might be few disadvantages, not many, but there might be few disadvantages in this reports also. Based on the reports, if because there, as we all know, favoritism in writing the report, the people who are writing the report or who are maintaining the report, if they show bias or favoritism towards in some people, and if they write a good report for them, or based on their efficiency or anything like that, then the true person who is very efficient and who is loyal to the organization might face loss, or he might be shown door, because based on the report only they are calculating the capabilities of the organization. So the organizations, when they are taking the in the perspective of the report only, they have to take care of that. They have to monitor personally also. They have to, the management also should take care that whatever report has been submitted, it has to be thoroughly scrutinized. That is, whether this report is genuine and whether this report has been submitted without showing any bias, any favoritism, or on all these grounds, which will give an authentication, or which will help the employees who are really working for the organization, which will give a clear understanding for the employees that yes, I am loyal to the organization, and the organization also has shown me or given me recognition by giving me promotion. So this will help the organization in near future. Then the second important disadvantage we can say is corruption also, where corruption, showing, taking money and doing or manipulating the reports, and benefiting the others to the other organizations, or this will create many problems in the organization, which will create many problems in the organizations, and which will have a great impact on the working of the organization. We can say that through these two important disadvantages, that is showing favoritism or showing bias towards one section of the people, and corruption, malpractice, with these the impacts, the report is, if the report is not prepared in a proper manner, then the organizations might, if we take the example of private organizations, it might create huge loss to the private organizations. And if you take the governments, then if the reports are submitted to the governments without any proper authentication, and if they did not have a thorough check, and if their officials are corrupted, then the information shared between the governments might be not authenticated, and which will create misunderstandings between the governments, and there will be a scope for government's downfall also. And it might lead to wars, or it might lead to many problems in the administrative problems also. So this is, we can say that these administrative, to avoid all these administrative problems, or to avoid all these type of misunderstandings. So the organizations or the office reports, when they are being maintained, they have to follow, they have to, and the people who are maintaining these office reports, they have to be thoroughly scrutinized, and they have to be given prior recommendations, prior information, prior, we can say, and this information and instructions, I can say, instructions that the reports have to be prepared based on the authentication of the data. The data, whatever they receive, have to be clearly mentioned. The authenticity of the data has to be checked, and the scrutiny has to be done. Everything has to be done in a proper channel. Then only the office reports have to be prepared, which will help the organization. And as well as, it might be, as I told you, it might be in the perspective of the private organizations or in the perspective of the public organizations. In both the ways, if the reports are authenticated, if the reports are clear, without any bias or without any influence of any corruption, then the things will work in a smoother manner, and which will create a better understanding, and which will give more scope for the employees to work in a better manner. Now, this we have discussed in the perspective of the organizations. If you talk in the perspective of the employees, where the employees, the management also, when they take up the reports for preparing the schedules of the employees or the performance of the employees, their management also should take care of the things and personally scrutinize each and every employee, so that no employee is left behind, and no employee should feel that I have been left out and the organization has chosen the wrong person and it has showed bias towards that person, and it has created disturbances in my working style. So this will all create disturbances which might lead to non-performance of the employees, and it will in turn give huge losses to the organization also. So these are the important the advantages and disadvantages. So with this, we have completed the topic, chapter number unit 8, office reports. So if you have any doubts regarding this topic, you can come up. Anything you want me to explain again, or if you need any doubts regarding today's topic, you can come up. I think yeah, everybody has understood this topic. Yes, anything you want me to, or okay then. Thank you.